The Amp Up Show, Monday, December 2nd, 2024. 2 full days removed from the Survivor Series. This will be your aftermath, your aftershock edition of the Amp Up Show for the Survivor Series. All the fallout from that show, including a huge story that broke over the weekend. WWE sending a lot of fans kind of surveys on what they felt about the Survivor Series. And this is coming off the heels of what we were hearing. WWE is, and I quote, surprised at how many fans did not like the overall show in totality. Survivor Series, when it went off the air, a lot of fans that was it? That's what we got? So WWE, from what we were hearing, the exact word was surprised. And then all of a sudden we hear that a lot of fans are getting these surveys on how they perceived this event, their likes, their dislikes of this particular show. We did that live. It was a live review, live watch along, live reaction, Saturday evening into the night. On this channel, my unit stepped up big time. Thousands of you guys in my replay unit really stepped up as well, because we had some tech issues at the beginning of that stream. But in totality, a very successful live review. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We watched this thing together live, and we came to the conclusion live. That should have been a lot better, that show. So my response to WWE sending out these surveys and being surprised that a lot of fans just did not like Survivor Series in totality. What are you surprised about? The card itself was, most of it anyway, was B to even C level. If you told me it was a crown jewel card, I probably would not bat an eyelash. I probably would not ask twice or think twice about it. It would make sense. If you told me a lot of those matchups were on a Raw or a SmackDown, I wouldn't ask twice. I wouldn't be shocked. But to put that at your fourth biggest event of the year, and then to produce what you produced, I don't see what they're surprised about. I don't see what World Wrestling Entertainment is so confused about. I'm glad they're sending the surveys out. I'm glad they're going to try to get the correct feedback. And hopefully they will change things going forward. But we were doing that show live, that review. And if they really want to know what was up, why a lot of fans were not totally down with what was being produced, all they got to do is check out that nearly 4 hours of a live stream. Because BC and the unit will tell them. But if they need a condensed version in this amped up show, we're going to give it to them. Because we're going to go over the fallout, the aftermath, the aftershocks of that show. We're going to talk about it. And BC is going to give WWE exactly what they're looking for. The reasons why a lot of fans were not happy with Survivor Series. We're going to talk all about it. Starts with the booking of the matches, by the way. But we'll talk about it in today's show. It's also hours before Monday Night Raw as of the recording of the Amped Up Show for Monday, December 2nd. So because of that, I do have the full preview. WWE has let a lot out of the bag for tonight's show. I don't know if that's always good either. You know, when you're looking for surprises and they pretty much give you the entire show hours before. I don't know, man. Is this just going to be one of those like lazily booked shows? It's already mapped out, no surprises. Let's just get this done with, move on, get closer to the holidays. But I do have most, if not the entire show's preview coming up. Now, I will save that to the last thing we talk about in today's show. Just in case you guys are catching this after Raw has already went live. So Raw's already off the airwaves and now you're checking out the show. You guys probably don't want to listen to a preview. So I'll save that till the end. But it's going to be a lot of good discussion. So even if you did catch Raw, I would still listen to my preview of it because it's going to be fun to compare and contrast my thoughts going into the show and what they actually produced. So I still think you should check out the preview even if you already caught Raw. But if you're catching this before Raw goes live, you definitely want to listen to this preview. I got what's going to happen. I got my thoughts on it. So a lot of good discussion on Monday Night Raw tonight. there you go. That's the cold open teaser. Again, I want to give a big thanks to all of my subscribers and especially my board of directors, my channel members, gold card to my diamond card and soon to be my golden coffee card members. You guys stepped up big Saturday night. Another big shout out to Rob. I appreciate the super chat in the comments of the live stream, the post stream in the comments. Rob was up in there. I appreciate the kind words, man. And I thank you for the support always. And a cup of 2-3 more coffees, Rob. Appreciate you big time. So let's get into it, guys. Because we are hours away from Raw, I don't want to keep you guys here too long on today's show. I want to start off with this supposed survey that's being sent out to a lot of fans. You know, how did you enjoy Survivor Series? Your thoughts on it? And again, this is being done coming off the heels of WWE supposedly being surprised. That's the word, surprised that a lot of fans weren't too happy with the show. Surprised at what? Let's start from the beginning. The card itself, if you separate everything from the bloodline versus the bloodline, right? The bloodline implosion. That's the selling point. I get it. But your undercard is still 4 other matches. You got to have something that is going to... Something has to captivate the interest of your audience other than just the main event. And your other big War Games match for the ladies was thrown together in the last 2 weeks. Random pairings that don't even make sense. Like a couple of Raws ago, just watching Naomi and Belair and Jade with little Io. And you're like, that doesn't even make... Io was just feuding with Jade and Bianca. Now all of a sudden they're buddies. Fast forward a week, you have Bayley and Io in the ring together. Bayley's joining forces with this team. And we're going to act like Damage Control, the implosion of Damage Control was never a thing. Bayley needs to be on this team so badly. It was odd. You're taking the big heels of Raw, Liv and Raquel. You're putting them with the big heels of SmackDown, Nia and Tiffany. Candy LeRae somehow makes the cut because Candy's trying to get on the good side of Nia, so all of a sudden she's in War Games. The match itself, rushed, odd pairings, nothing made sense. And again, I'm just sticking with the booking of this, guys. I'll get to the show itself in a minute. But the booking of that ladies match, I mean, 2 weeks before it was announced basically they were going to do a ladies War Games match. So that's cool, but put more thought into it. Then you go to the 3 other, they were all title matches, right, for the undercard. You go with the triple threat IC championship. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser. Again, this is a match that was thrown together within 2 weeks' time. Out of nowhere, Ludwig and Braun start feuding. Braun is still a heel that I know of. They're trying to act like he's a tweener, which is just going to be detrimental to his career, so hopefully they stop that BS. But Braun's a heel, Ludwig's a heel, they're fighting each other for some reason. Sheamus is the middleman in all this, right? He's the glue to try to make it look like there is a war between the 3. He's the face. And they fight one time. Like just actual like brawl. And Adam Pearce flips out like I've never seen this dude flip out before. And he flips out all the time. And he turns red and he starts shouting, you want to fight, you want to fight, you want to fight. Enough of this Survivor Series. You will have a triple threat IC title match. And everybody's like, what? Why are you so upset? They've brawled one time, man. There's not even a real feud between the 3. Relax. You ain't got to give them all. It doesn't have to be a title match for Survivor Series. That showed you how lazy they got. They said last second they want to have an IC title match. They're like, what if we just do these 3? Because they don't want to make a one-on-one match. They don't do that. Or they don't like to do that. It probably was like pulling teeth to try to have a LA Knight versus Shinsuke one-on-one match, which when we say last minute, by the way, was last minute. I'll get to that in a second. But that IC title match, I don't know who you think you're captivating when they go over the card and they see Ludwig versus Sheamus versus Braun Breaker. They're not going to scream, Ma, Dad, we got to get the pay-per-view. It's a weird match on paper, man. Just have a champion and a challenger. Have a storyline set up for months, right? If you're doing this booking thing correctly, if you're truly creative, if you're truly cooking, then you should have no problem in that kitchen putting together the best of meals with the finest of ingredients and the most epic of recipes. If you're truly cooking. Triple threat for the IC title match. Rushed with 2 weeks' notice because they brawled once, and Adam Pearce flipped out and acted like they were brawling all year. Go to the aforementioned U.S. Championship match. LA Knight versus Shinsuke. Shinsuke just came back a couple weeks ago, literally. Attacked LA Knight twice and was given a championship match at the fourth biggest show of the year, Survivor Series in Canada. So as much as we all, or most of us anyway, we respect Shinsuke, we want the best booking for him. Him winning titles just makes sense. But what doesn't is the booking of this match. So last minute with 2 attacks, and that's it. Again, we'll get to what actually happened on the show in a minute. But the booking of it, yeah, I don't know what you're surprised about. That a lot of fans are just going, how is that a match at Survivor Series? How is Shinsuke getting a title match? And then Gunther versus Damian Priest. The fourth match on the undercard before the Bloodline Implosion main event. Gunther versus Damian Priest. A rematch from SummerSlam. The only difference in the storyline, because it's the same thing, they had about 3 or 4 face-to-face, back-and-forth promos. Nothing accomplished, nothing of substance, nothing to captivate you. The only difference is Gunther was this time not calling him street trash all the time. Instead, Damian was questioning the confidence of Gunther. He lost his confidence. That's the big storyline to grab you. 4 months after we already saw Damian and Gunther, we have to see it again because Gunther may have this time lost his confidence. And then you finally get to the main event. Probably easily the match that most were looking forward to. If you look at all 5 matches, that's the one where people are going to go, all right, probably going to be some big surprises, right? I don't know if it's going to be The Rock. Rollins is going to do something. Somebody's going to turn on Roman, right? Vegas, and a lot of people thinking CM Punk. A lot of people thinking, like BC, don't trust Sami Zayn. He could do something. Would the Usos have the balls? Would it make any sense to turn on Roman if you're the Usos? I don't know, but something big's going to happen in this match, right? Bootleg bloodline will look strong. Even if in defeat, you got to make the bootleg bloodline look strong. If they lose this, I mean, we're already calling them the bootleg bloodline. So something's happening in this match. It's going to be massive, right? We'll get to what happened and why a lot of fans are like, whoa, that was it? But the booking of this, that's the one match where you could say, all right, that's going to be a war. That should be fun. There should be a lot of newsworthy stuff coming out of that. Oh, there was. Mutual respect handshakes. That's the booking of it. And there were so many voids that needed to be filled. So right from the jump, the show has to dig out of a hole. A booking/creative hole. So now you get to the show, right? Now we go to the show. You got the women's War Games matchup. The first half of this match, absolutely just, not dreadful, but the botches just added up. They were trying to hit too many spots, get too cute, and the execution was just off. And there was botch after botch in the first half of that ladies' way. We were live, by the way. If you want to step by step, moment for moment, know what hundreds live and BC who was hosting, what we thought in real time, check out that live stream, guys. The live, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You'll know what we were saying step by step. But to put it all, to wrap it up nicely in a short amount of time with a bow, I will tell you that first half was rough. And it was going to take a lot more than party hats and toilet seats to make it good. Yeah, that's what actually happened, guys. There was party hats and toilet seats. Now, I understand it was Naomi's birthday. Much love and respect to Naomi, especially happy birthday. We wished her a happy birthday then and belated as well, man. Birthday week, how's that sound? Happy birthday week to Naomi. But there's no reason for party hats to be in a match called War Games. There's no reason for a toilet seat to be being used, because you're just giving ammo to the audience that's watching that is not liking the match, right? Yep, that's exactly where the match belongs, in the shitter. The toilet seat is fitting. Party hats and toilet seats. That was the big headlines in the first half of the match. Second half, it got more physical, thankfully. Match ending, pretty simplistic, but EO and Tiffany diving off the top of the cages. And, we had some moments at least. The second half saved the match in totality. And with the good, the bad, and the ugly, by 6%, my unit spoke loud and said, we'll put it in the good column, BC. So that's fine. But it was nothing that was overwhelming, right? It wasn't like an 80 to 20% when I put up that poll. And I said, what are you guys going with? Do you guys think it's a good match or a bad match? It wasn't like it was 80, 85 to 15%. It was by 6%, guys. It's like 53-47, something like that. So right from the jump, nearly half your audience was like, We've had better women's War Games matches in the past. So right from the jump, it was iffy. And then you go into, and forgive me if I'm a little out of order here, but the triple threat matchup, or was it Shinsuke first? Either way, even if we're out of order, Shinsuke versus LA Knight US Championship. The match barely goes 8 minutes. And again, you got to think about the booking. That's what made this odd, right? Everyone's like, whoa, we like Shinsuke, but how did he get a title match just for attacking LA Knight twice? And then the match barely goes 8 minutes, barely, if it even did. And with a clean Kinshasa victory, we have a new champion. Again, much love to Shinsuke. We love to see a dude that deserves titles actually get titles. Not that titles are the be-all, end-all, by the way, but Shinsuke winning a title, it just feels right? It's like, yeah, that should be happening. But not at the expense of doing LA Knight dirty like that. The dude has not had a memorable title reign. I don't remember anything with the title reign other than him feuding with Logan Paul, by the way. And I can't even recall if that was for the US. Maybe he beat Paul for the title, correct? So that was even before the championship. The point is, I don't remember anything with this title reign. You really have to start sparking something with this title reign for LA Knight as we go into the Royal Rumble in Mania season. Instead, Hunter said, what if we just take the title from him? And he just doesn't get a memorable title reign. So a dude that just came back 2 weeks ago has a 8-minute match tops and takes the title clean from LA Knight. That's the best you got? And you're surprised. WWE sends a survey out because they're surprised that people didn't enjoy this event. Or a lot of people didn't enjoy the event in totality. They're surprised. How are you surprised? Did you think fans were just going to go, what a great decision? Especially with the popularity of LA Knight still. And you say, well, BC, man, Shinsuke not getting the title when he just returned. You want to build that momentum and capitalize on it. He just came back. I understand. Don't book the match just because you had to rush it because you didn't think beforehand. You brought Shinsuke back 2 weeks ago. You made the match Friday night. Stop. Don't irrationally book like that. Because you're going to find yourself into a pickle, back yourself into a corner, and make irrational decisions like that. So yeah, you're surprised that a lot of fans were just not happy with that decision, or just they were absolutely confused at what just happened. How was that the way LA Knight lost his title? And then you go to the triple threat for the IC championship. Breaker and Ludwig and Sheamus. Match was good, actually. I'm not a fan of triple threats, but they worked well together. They gelled. They didn't try to overdo anything. The botches were at a minimum. So in totality, action-wise, pretty damn good. The finish of the match, I mean, Braun Breaker retaining his championship. A lot of fans were saying, all right, you could have saw that on Monday Night Raw. Like, I didn't need to see that at a pay-per-view. There was nothing that happened in the match before, during, or after that screamed, I have to pay to see this. I don't care if it's $10 to the Peacock, NBC Universal. That's $10 you can keep in your wallet. And not the main event, the World Championship match with Gunther and Damian Priest. It's a rematch from SummerSlam, so somehow you're going to have to up the ante and make the match itself more special and have an epic finish. The match was no better than it was at SummerSlam. Maybe in some areas it was, actually. Maybe in some areas. There were some sequences I enjoyed a lot more than the SummerSlam match, so I will take that back a little bit. But the other half of it is same. So it comes down to the finish, right? Why are we getting this match 4 months later? Why? You're hoping that Hunter is truly cooking on this situation and that Hunter has a grand plan. There's a big reason why, and you're going to find out at the finish of the match. Instead, Finn Balor came out and helped Gunther win this match. Finn Balor. Most fans, right? And this is WWE being tone deaf if they didn't know this in advance. If they're truly surprised that a lot of fans did not like this decision. It's because a lot of fans, BC included, we don't care about Damian and Finn Balor anymore. That's months removed. You dropped the ball on that. You could have done a lot when Damian and Rhea were out of the Judgment Day. A lot should have been done. A lot should have been capitalized on and intrigued us. There should have been an excitement there. Instead, man, there was many weeks where Damian was kept off TV, Rhea was, then the unfortunate injury for Rhea. That was only a couple weeks, so I can't even include that. And then they just went in all these weird directions, and before you knew it, blink of an eye, drop of a hat, snap of a finger, a lot of fans were just done with the Judgment Day, Damian and Rhea. It was over. So to see 4 months later, Balor and Damian continuing something, what? Balor and Damian is not going to excite a lot of the audience. If it does you, much love and respect, then you're going to get exactly what excites you. Good for you. But there's a lot of fans that's not going to excite us. And you guys are not going to believe what they're teasing for Monday Night Raw or going forward. I'm going to save that until we get to the preview, which is coming up in a few minutes. But you're not going to believe what they're doing with Gunther and Balor. But that's how you had to do a rematch 4 months later just to have Balor take out Damian, and that's how Gunther wins. Balor, that's your big surprise. That's your big finish. A rematch 4 months later for that, and you're surprised. Surprise is the word that we're getting. That a lot of fans didn't like Survivor Series. It's decisions like that. And then you get to the Bloodline implosion. The match itself, I'm fine with it. A lot of what fans didn't like from what we're hearing now, right? A lot of chatter over the last 48 hours is a lot of people just felt like it wasn't War Games. There was a lot of action. There was a lot of things going on, but the structure itself in the name War Games, it wasn't war. And the cage was barely used. Some people dove off it. All right. Door was slammed on somebody's dome piece. All right. But it's no longer truly War Games. There's nothing special anymore. It's a cage match, right? It's a ring or two rings with a giant fence around it. I don't have any issues with that part of it. I thought they went in there, delivered a good enough match to go, hey, man, that was a pretty good War Games match. But I totally understand those that are like, it doesn't come across as war to me. It's not War Games. There's no need for that type of structure for what they did in the rings. So I totally understand that. And to an extent, I'm with you. But that's not what I was harping on about after this matchup. For me, it was the finish itself and what happened afterwards, which was basically nothing. The finish itself was just Solo taking out all the faces moves, the finishers, and then Roman pinning Solo. So what was the whole deal when Solo pinned Roman a couple months ago? Was it a month or two ago? Crown Jewel, I believe. Solo pinning Roman Reigns. Okay, so you're starting this thing to get people really to think that Bloodline, they're a real threat. They're a real badass faction. Not to be laughed at or called the bootleg version. So Solo gets this big victory. And then literally a month later, you're just having Roman pin. So you 50-50 book 'em. What is that going to do? It was just a weird way to end the match, which again, I thought was actually good. But then we're like, all right, something big happens now, right? I wasn't sold that The Rock was going to show up. But once Solo took an L like that, I was like, all right, I told my live crowd, man, my live unit, live stream, while it was happening in real time, I said, this is the chance for The Rock to come out and take out Solo, right? Like, you couldn't get the job done. You failed, new tribal chief of this part of the family. And it's The Rock. Solo, exiled out of it, banished. I mean, that would have been cool. But you're thinking something's going to happen, right? Because the event itself was kind of lackluster. No surprises. Nothing you couldn't have saw at a Raw or a SmackDown. Crown Jewel pay-per-view PLE at best. So now it's all going to come down to this finish, right? The match is over. The finish is already done. But post-match, something big. There's going to be a surprise. Nobody turned on Roman. Not a CM Punk. Not a Sammy. Rollins hasn't come down yet. Rollins, at bare minimum. If there's no Rock, okay, whatever. If Drew McIntyre doesn't show up to do something, okay, whatever. At the bare minimum, Seth is going to take out CM Punk in a cool way, right? Spark their feud. Guys, we got nothing. Nothing. There was no surprise. There was nothing. The faces just celebrated to the point where CM Punk and Roman shook hands, guys. They shook hands. They showed mutual respect for one another. Why would you even need that? You want to plant seeds for a Roman CM Punk match in the future. You do that by building the animosity. They worked together. They coexisted, yes. But that doesn't mean they're buddies. That doesn't mean there's a like there. There's a Paul Heyman. There's a wise man that keeps them connected. He's the glue. He's the Scotch tape, not even glue. That's how volatile Roman and CM Punk can be at any moment. But Paul Heyman is the Scotch tape. Instead, you just pissed away any belief that we could have had in that. You just had him shake hands. That's what Hunter does. He doesn't want to get creative. He doesn't want to overthink anything. And his way is, even if to stop somebody from getting cheered more than you, we'll just have you shake hands. So he does weird things like Gunther and Randy Orton in Berlin. Randy gets beat. But don't worry, Randy. Shake his hand afterwards. And that'll make people go, oh, they mutual respected. That's awesome. Let's give them a golf clap. Because they showed each other respect. So you saw something weird. Gunther and Randy shook hands. You saw Cody Rhodes beat Gunther, and then Gunther shakes his hand because Hunter said, hey, you know what? You're going to lose clean to Cody. But if you shake his hand, the crowd will cheer you. And they won't really think about the loss. They'll go, damn, they had a good match, and they shook hands in respect. And so they shook hands in respect, right? Hunter's got friends facing each other like Owens and Cody and then hugging each other and shaking hands afterwards. And now he sees fit to have this really good cinematic face-off with Roman and CM Punk on SmackDown. The sit-down, if you will, with Paul Heyman as your moderator. And it was so well done. And Punk is like, I'm not doing this for you. He made it a point several times to say, I'm doing it for the wise man, for Paul Heyman, our wise man. And then at the end, he just says, I will be expecting the favor that you promised when this is all said and done. And then he walks off. Cool. So now he does his part. He helps Roman take care of the family business. And just like that, Punk should have just walked off. If Rollins is going to attack him or not, Punk just walk off. Punk at that point should not be celebrating with the family just because Hunter wants everybody to get a reception. Punk at that point should have gotten right out of that cage. A sign of like, Heyman, I did that, you know. And Heyman goes, yes. And he looks at Roman, and Roman's kind of confused. Roman's like, what do you guys got going on, man? What is this favor? And Paul is watching Punk leave, and Paul's looking at that's intriguing. That helps a storyline develop in the future. What doesn't help the storyline is just trying to get a cheap pop afterwards. Just shake hands with Roman. Yeah, you guys will shake hands, and not only did you coexist, but you mutual respected. You coexisted, and you mutually respected. I mean, you did the double whammy. The crowd will be eating it up, and it'll It'll help hide the fact that we don't have any surprises. We didn't have a fun finish. That's it. You guys get to see CM Punk and Roman shake hands. That's good enough. And you wonder, you're surprised that a lot of fans, when the show went off the air the way that it did, and you look back at the entire event, you're surprised? Party hats and toilet seats didn't deliver and you're surprised? A weird 8-minute match with a dude that just came back 2 weeks ago in a title reign that ended in the most non-memorable way with a non-memorable title reign that you thought was the right decision, and you're surprised that fans are not down with that? With the way that Knight lost? You're surprised that fans didn't take the triple threat IC title match and go, wow, what a pay-per-view. You're surprised that we waited 4 months to see a rematch that nobody was clamoring for in the first place, just to see Finn Balor decide the match. You're surprised that fans aren't going, wow, did you see Damian and Gunther? And you're surprised that people are not just talking about how good the Bloodline versus Bloodline match was. You're surprised they're talking about how was that war? You're surprised they're talking, hey, why did we just do 50-50 booking? Solo beats Roman last month, and then Roman you just send the receipt a month later, and and you're surprised that fans are going, hey, no surprises at all? All these stories you could be sparking as we go into the Netflix deal and Rumble and WrestleMania season, and you just end it with Punk and Roman shaking hands. You're surprised, World Wrestling Entertainment, that a lot of fans, a ton of fans, nearly half your fans, when they asked, can you take or leave this event, they said we could leave it. Why most fans said they would not watch this event again. There's no reason to. You're surprised? Come on, Hunter. Come on, WWE. You should not be surprised. Or you should be watching a lot more BC Amplify channel. Because we'll help you make this company great again. We will help you do such. You just got to listen. So that's the, 2 days after the event went off the air. That's my thoughts on it. That's kind of the aftermath, where we're at with it. A lot of the dialogue coming out afterwards is a lot of fans were just not thrilled with this event. Not trashing it, not saying it was horrible, but a lot of fans were just like, dude, we were expecting, we were hoping for a lot more. And they feel that the company missed the mark on such a big show. And it started with the booking itself. The matches just didn't make sense. They just felt thrown together and rushed. It was an event based on one match, basically. And when you don't have surprises and a badass finish and all of that, and you just have a weird handshake, you shouldn't be surprised why people were just not on board with it. Very odd. So that's my take on it, guys. You don't want to just keep saying the same thing round and round, just with different word salad. So that's where we'll put the cap on it. If WWE is truly surprised, all they got to do is just actually listen, right? And I'm sure the feedback will tell them such. Now, some of what we just talked about, some of what just happened at Survivor Series is going to leak into what you do see tonight on Monday Night Raw. And this is where this review kicks in. This preview for 12/2/24's Monday Night Raw. I have a lot to say about this because it doesn't make sense. And what you did at Survivor Series, this is why Raw tonight, you're going to have to work twice as hard for it to make sense. So let me start with CM Punk. CM Punk will start the show tonight. That's the word that we're getting anyway from the company themselves. CM Punk starts the show tonight. So BC is going to ask this, with what? Is Drew McIntyre going to come out of nowhere? We're going to kick off the same feud we've been getting. So good, by the way. The feud of the year for sure in this company. Drew and Punk. But are we just going to do that again? I mean, we haven't seen Drew McIntyre since his last match with Punk. Punk just came back. Drew, we still have not seen yet. Is Drew just going to come back to rekindle a CM Punk feud? Is that the best way to go? If not, are you just going to have Sethington Rollins come out tonight and try to spark or re-spark the feud that they've had in the past? And if that's the case, then it should have been sparked at Survivor Series, right? Instead of having Punk shake hands with Roman, you have Seth and CM Punk ignite their feud, catapult it. That should have been one of the big storylines coming out of this. Man, did you see Rollins and Punk? It finally came to a head. So just having Rollins parade out there 2 days later on Monday Night Raw? Okay. So if not Drew, if not Sethington Rollins, what is CM Punk doing out there? Are they going to have Roman come out tonight on a Monday Night Raw? Or is Paul Heyman going to come out? Are they going to talk about this favor? We'll let the show play out, right? We'll see. But I can't have any faith that Hunter will be cooking for this situation because it's already been botched at Survivor Series. You could have catapulted something really fun for Punk for tonight. Matchup-wise, for tonight's Monday Night Raw, Women's IC title tournament triple threat. First round, Dakota Kai versus Katana Chance versus Shayna Baszler. That's how much they care about these mid-card titles. They announce it before the show even goes live, and then they just replay the announcement. They announce it in the oddest of times or segments of the show like they did SmackDown with the Women's US title. Then they just announced a random triple threat tournament. They don't even have the decency to just have it one-on-one and show some prestige to the ladies. There's only 35 some-odd, right? 30 some-odd females active on the roster. You could easily just set aside tournaments individually, one-on-one. Instead, they're just like, just throw 3 of them out there. We can't care enough. We don't want to put enough attention or time or resource into this little stupid tournament. Let's just put triple threat matches out there. To the point where, as of this recording, they haven't even announced the brackets, guys. They're just kind of throwing baloney at the wall. If it lands on a lady, that's who's going to face each other. And that's why you get a random match like Dakota Kai, Katana Chance, and Shayna Baszler. I mean, when people hear that match, I don't know how many are going, damn, I got to watch Raw tonight. Chance is going to take on Kai with Baszler. But that's the Women's IC title tournament. Sticking with the ladies, Damage Controls. Io Sky and Kairi Sane will be taking on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So Damage Control versus Io and Kairi. Or Damage Control. Io and Kairi of Damage Control, I should say, versus Liv and Raquel. You know, another reason why WWE should not be surprised that people were kind of like, what? At Survivor Series, man, you have Bayley side by side with Io celebrating at the top of the cage. Top of the cage, Bayley and Io are together celebrating. Do you guys remember what just happened? Damage Control, how nasty they were to Bayley and turning on Bayley, and Bayley wanting to separate herself from that group. And all of a sudden, they're celebrating next to each other on top of the cage like BFFs. And you're telling me this is the best booking. Saturday night's main event, Io is going to take on Liv, by the way, for the Women's Championship. That's what we're hearing. So this is going to be like a little appetizer to that. But that's just another thing I didn't even, I should say I forgot to even mention, right? Just weird shit like that Hunter just overlooks because he thinks the fans don't care. And maybe a lot of them don't. And maybe no matter what he puts out there, there's going to be fans that go, please, sir, can I have some more? But there's going to be a lot of fans that are looking at that like we did live, by the way, when that moment happened. And I go, what the? Because a minute earlier, they were separating them, it looked like, when they all raised their hands, and it looked like Bayley was on one side and Io was on the other. And I'm like, good, they're telling the story properly, even the little details. And then a minute later, they're up on the top of the cage and they're just together hugging and celebrating. And I'm like, well, there goes what I just said. You give them credit and they shit on it. You know, that's going to make a lot of fans go, dude, that doesn't make any sense. Bayley wouldn't be just chumming it up and celebrating with Io. Io and Kairi versus Liv and Raquel tonight. R-Truth versus PD Dunn. If you're looking for a reason to tune into tonight's Monday Night Raw, how about R-Truth versus PD Dunn? Because he keeps calling him Butch. That's the storyline. Hunter's cooking. Hunter's telling R-Truth, call him Butch backstage for like 2 months, and then we're going to have you guys face each other on a random Raw. I'm not nitpicking, guys. I'm telling you, like, if this is going to be your preview, and this is going to be how you're setting these matches up, don't be surprised is the word. Don't be surprised if fans are going to go, This isn't exciting to us. This is nothing to watch on my prime time on a Monday night. I got to watch Petey Dunn and R-Truth in a triple threat Dakota Kai Chance Baszler match. A lot of fans are not going to be okay with this. They're teasing Gunther being upset at Balor. Guys, that's what I was talking about earlier when I said you're not going to believe how they're booking Gunther and Balor going forward. It's not just Damian Priest versus Balor they're kind of, planting seeds for. They're talking now about Gunther being upset at Balor. And he's kind of been tweenish, like Braun Breaker. Hunter will not commit to a diabolical, badass heel. He won't do it. It's like he doesn't want anybody to reach where the cerebral assassin used to be as far as heels go. So now he wants top heels to be 50-50 booked into teaser or tweener mentality, right? He's half face, he's half heel. It doesn't matter what he is as long as he gets a reaction. Braun Breaker shaking the hand of Jey Uso and then the next week beating up Jey Uso. Braun Breaker talking trash but then asking where the dogs are at in the arena so they can pander, right? So they can bark and he looks like a face. And in the meanwhile, fans like BC are like, what is Braun Breaker? What are you doing? Is he face? Is he heel? And why is he a tweener idiot? Gunther talks a lot of trash, calls Damian Priest street trash, tells Randy Orton he's a failure, his father's a failure, his grandfather's the biggest failure, or whatever it is. Maybe he said Randy's the biggest failure. Your whole family's failures. And then they shake hands after their match. All the trash talk to Cody Rhodes, and then they shake hands after the match. Gunther beats Damian by any means necessary. He's a heel, and by any means necessary, all is fair in love and war. And instead, he's upset at how he won. I did not need or want Balor's help. And now Gunther is upset at heel Balor. So what, Hunter? Are you trying to make Gunther and Braun Breaker faces? Commit to something, bro. Are they faces or are they heels? Because this version of Gunther is becoming absolute nauseating trash. I was so high on Walter, so high on Gunther. I know what he brings to the table. I love the IC title reign. I love the fact he won the world title. But his booking lately is making Gunther seem like average mid-AF garbage. The storyline of, has he lost his confidence? Watching him lose clean to Cody Rhodes in the middle of the ring. Shaking hands with Randy and Cody and all the top baby faces. Next, he'll be shaking hands with Jonathan Cena when he comes back. And now, he's upset at Finn Balor for helping him. What are they doing to Gunther, bro? But that's what they're teasing. He's not happy with Finn Balor. And then the big selling point for tonight is the New Day 10-year celebration, I should say. 10 years of the New Day. We do expect Big E to show up. Will there be any other surprises? If so, who? Will there be other surprises? You can't have 10 years of the New Day without Big E. So we do expect him to be, and this will be his first time, I believe, on an actual show, not a kickoff show or anything like that for a PLE pay-per-view. This will be his first time on like a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown in a very long time, I believe. So again, that's not announced as of this recording. We do expect him to show up, though. And then, of course, the biggest selling point is the breakup of the New Day. Are they going to pull the trig tonight and actually do the deed? Will it be Xavier like most think? Or will it be the wild card, the dark horse? And people are going, what if Kofi turns on Xavier? Who's it going to be turning on who? First question, first step, do they even go with the breakup? After last week, these two, Xavier and Kofi, they carried Monday Night Raw last week. That was a beyond average weak show last week. But Kofi and Xavier tried to save it, tried to put the entire show on their backs with what they did backstage last week. And that's set up. If they do want to go the turn tonight, that set it up, man, big time. I go Xavier turning on Kofi. I'm team bad guy Xavier. But I know a lot of you guys are starting to think, what if Kofi does the deed? So New Day's 10-year anniversary celebration tonight. We expect Big E, maybe other surprises, make a big hoopla out of it, and maybe a massive heel turn. That's your Raw Preview 12-2. That's all my thoughts post-Survivor Series 2 days later. That's it. That's it. This went long enough. You guys, the only thing left to do now is put on the show tonight. BC will be right back within the next 24 hours talking all things Monday Night Raw. So the next amped up show you guys get, Tuesday, the 3rd of December, the focal point will be on Monday Night Raw. I will have a full review for you guys. Everything they actually produced on tonight's show, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to do it amplified style. So until next time, there will be that next time. Top guys, we are out. BC in the unit saying check you. Salut!